Okay, so you should all get that little recording note, did you? Okay. So welcome. Welcome. So this is the Math 201 elementary statistics class. And today is the orientation. So we're not going to do any statistics today. That's going to start out tomorrow, actually. So I'm not one to wait a long time, but today is all about explaining how this class is going to work, how you're going to be able to participate in this class, what's expected you of this class, and most important is how to succeed in the class, what it takes to make it and do well. And I'll give you lots of pointers and talk about the class. And I want to let you know, again, anytime you have a question, please either post it in the chat box. Again, the chat box is private. I won't mention your name when it gets posted, or talk if it's public, but no one really watches this anyway except us. Even though it's on YouTube, it's not a biggie. These aren't the things people want to see. So just let you know, the whole point of these webinars is so that we can have interaction, so that when you're confused about something, you can ask. Okay, because I have a lot of videos that are static videos where you just watch the video and it's over, I'm not there or whatever. And those are different. Those are different. If you have questions about that, you could email me and hours later you might get an answer. But right now we can converse and we can talk and I can answer your questions. We can make it work. So I want to let you know that's kind of the main point of these webinars, so that you can participate. And that starts out today. So what I'm going to do is I am going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen and let me do that so we can see what the class is. Okay, so you should all be able to see it. If not, let me know. By the way, if I ever say, yeah, you can see this and you can't, please let me know. One of the things is you've probably been using Zoom a couple of years. I've been using Zoom around 10 years. I'm like one of the first, I'm the first Zoom user ever, basically in California for education. I was the guinea pig when Zoom came out and they asked if I could try it out to test it like a decade ago. So I've been using it forever. So if you ever have questions about Zoom, I should be able to answer because again, I've been doing this forever and ever and ever. I'm the first California approved online statistics instructor, period, in all of the 110 colleges. So I've been doing this for a very, very long time. So I know the technology and I'm always happy to help you guys if you have any issues with the technology. The good news is at this point, the one good thing about COVID, I guess, is at this point, most people know how to use Zoom. It used to be so much work to explain how to do it. And but fortunately now most people do. So our webinars will be on Zoom and you can go from anywhere. You could even bring your child, or you can bring your most important thing like I do because I'm at home and that happens. So just let you know, you don't have to feel weird about having kids around. It's just cute to have kids around, right? So don't worry about that. This is an online class. You literally never need to leave your home. So for example, if you tested positive for COVID and you have to isolate for 2 weeks or however long they make you isolate nowadays, you can still do fine in this class because as long as you have internet at home, you can do all of your stuff at home. So that's the good news. Okay, you don't have to, but it's definitely, this is a true online class. Okay, and again, I want to let you know if you have questions, let me know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the syllabus first, talk about a lot of little details, and please stop and ask questions if there's something that you want to find out more information about or don't understand or whatever. First thing, this is Math 201, section 4. It's called Elementary Statistics, which is really, what I like about this class is it's a truly useful math class. Okay, there are some classes where you may hear that, but not really. And I don't say that when I teach algebra, for example. It's useful for some, but not for everyone. Statistics is useful in every single field. Okay, it is used everywhere. And one of the things I love about this class is when I give lectures, my webinars, I can bring in whatever the new thing in the news is that day And I can talk about where they use statistics for it because it's used for so many things. And I have no problem finding stuff because it's everywhere. So this is not just, even though it may feel like it, it's not just a requirement for your graduation so that you can get your diploma. This is truly useful. And it's useful in many, many things. It could be useful in your job, your education. It could be useful in making money in terms of like investing. And we'll be talking about that too. So it's just useful. Or if you're worried about COVID and wondering about the vaccine and, you know, should you take it or you feel comfortable or not? Well, we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about how statistics shows that it is actually something that you can rely on and is safe. Okay. And they did very serious statistics on it. Okay. For every category except one, I'll talk about that another day. But then they eventually did it. And now it's safe. So I was so bummed out when they did it wrong once. And I found their stats mistake. It's like, no. So hopefully you'll get to the point where you can look at whatever is going on in the world and say, yeah, they actually analyze this right. And it makes sense. I trust them. So that's the main thing I'm hoping you all get out of this class is how to do that. So again, this Math 201, I want to highlight online. This is truly an online class. And in fact, with COVID, I used to have a proctored test, but with COVID, I can't even do that. So if you are, hopefully not, but if you happen to be stuck in your bedroom for 3 months and you never leave your bedroom, but you got your computer with internet, you can get an A in this class. Okay. You might need a psychiatrist though, because it'll be really depressing. But this class will go just fine because it's truly online. It's a 5-unit class, so I want to give you a little warning about that. And let me ask you, and I'm going to do this a lot with survey. This is a survey, but it's a find out about y'all. Put in the chat box, if you're at LTCC, you can write LTCC or write quarter. Or if you're from another college taking this class, because I did a lot of that too, that's a semester system, write semester or write where you are. And put that in chat because I usually get a group from all over the place. So it looks like most of you so far are LTCC. Okay, so far everybody. Okay. Interesting. In the winter, I get more LTCC students, and in the fall, I get more from other places. It turns out it has to do with we start before people have been thinking about it. That's all LTCC. Okay, so I want to let you know that it's a 5-unit class, and a regular full class is 4 units, and this is 5 units, which means you can expect it to be more work than a 4-unit class because it is a full semester class stuck into a quarter. And we do that so I don't torture you and have you do 2 quarters of the same class. Because if we made it 4 units, then it doesn't transfer. And number one, my guess is if I said, oh, by the way, this class doesn't transfer, I think you would all drop right now. So number one is to make sure this transfers, and this does transfer to just about everywhere. That's the good news. That is my number one requirement when I create this class and do things with it is I want to make sure it transfers. So 5 units was necessary. Again, instructor, Larry Green. My name's Larry. If you call me, I don't know, whatever you want to call me, I'm okay with it. I call myself Larry. And I want to let you know, I've been teaching statistics for a very, very long time. And I'm kind of like the statewide lead in it, just let you know. And in fact, there's a big national website that has statistics called LibreText for online learning in statistics and everything else. And I am the international lead in that. So I know stats, and I do a lot with it, especially online. So I've been doing online stats for a long time. So just let you know, I do have the experience, okay? And I use it. I have consulted in statistics for many organizations. See, a lot of you said LTCC, so then you'll understand these places like the Forest Service. So the Forest Service does research to find out, for example, no matter how much of a bummer this was, they needed to do research on forest thinning to prevent fires so that the fires do not burn the houses in Tahoe. And I was their statistical consultant for their data analysis on how effective it will be to thin forest to protect our houses. And something that makes me feel really good is, do you know how many houses burned down in Tahoe in this big fire? 0. Okay. And I'm not going to say it's all me, but I had my one little piece of it. And that is I helped them on the analysis of their data on the best practices in forest thinning to prevent the fires from going into the town. So I was part of that. And that was statistical analysis. So I've been doing statistics. It was a long time ago, which is good, because if it was last year, they wouldn't have thinned the forest and our houses would all burn down. It would have sucked. Okay. It still sucked a little, but not as bad as it could have. So I've done a lot of statistical consulting. I've consulted also for politics and looked at their analysis to decide which candidate to support for, I'll tell you, the Democratic Party. One thing I'll never do, by the way, is tell you who to vote for. That's not my job. But I will tell you that you should be active in understanding the elections. That I can tell you. And I looked at the statistics and helped them, okay, in doing that. So I've done a lot of different things. And one nice thing is I can bring that into the class. Okay. And I've also done statistics for one of our big funding things here. Besides skiing, what's the next biggest funding thing? Money in Tahoe, especially the other side. Gambling. Yep. So gambling, I have done, I did statistical consulting for the casinos. If you lose, if you play, it's partly my fault because I made sure of it. I made some good money on making sure that everyone loses. Okay, in the long run, not one game, but if you play long enough, you're going to lose. Just let you know that. And so I've done that too. So I've done all the local stuff with statistics. So I'm not going to go on and on it, but that's what we've got. In terms of, okay, you love the lotto. Okay, now the lotto, we're going to talk about the lotto next week. That one I haven't done statistical consulting with, but that one's actually kind of easy. They didn't need to hire someone for that. And because we're going to be doing that in 10 minutes in our class. I mean, that's how easy it is. And we'll be able to compute the chance of winning the lotto. Hopefully no one wins it, so I can buy buy a ticket in the second week of class every quarter. And if next week, it could be really big if you've been following. Okay. So anyhow, if you want to get in touch with me, the main ways of getting in touch with me, one are by going to this session, the Zoom session, and talk to me, ask me questions, whatever. You can also go to my office hours, which I'll show you in a little bit. Okay, and show you how that works. But emailing me is a good way of getting a hold of me. I am very kind of unhealthily on my email. Like some people are unhealthily on their smartphones all the time. I check my email probably 100 times a day. So I will get back to you. Okay. The one thing I want to let you know, and this is the first time I've ever had this, but I am teaching face-to-face without really a break, Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9:30 to 2:45. So in those times, I won't be able to get back to you because I'll be teaching. So sorry about that. The only time I would is if I happen to be giving a test, and I'll be online and checking my email while I give the test. But otherwise, Monday, Wednesday, Friday during the regular daytime, I'm going to be teaching all day long, so I can't get back to you. But otherwise, I will get back to you. The other thing I want to let you know about me personally, I am not a night owl. If you send me an email at 10 p.m., you will not get anything back that night, but I'll get you back probably at 4:30 in the morning. Just let you know. So I wake up really early in the morning, but I go to sleep pretty early at night. So you got to be patient on that one. So don't expect an instant reply, after 10 p.m. or maybe 9:30 p.m., depending on how tired I am. So I'll let you know that's my particular, we all have our ways. I'm human. We do sleep. And but I sleep around that times. So that's when I'm not around. Okay. The Canvas webpage, what I recommend is go to Canvas and kind of copy and that paste the HTTPS, LTCC, Lake Tahoe CC instructure.com. The reason for that is that directly goes to the Canvas site instead of having to go through LTCC's webpage. And so if LTCC for some reason like snow or whatever is down, this one will still be up. The Canvas page rarely dies. In my, I don't know, like 8 years now of using Canvas, only once did Canvas die. It was a horrible disaster. It was like the worst time imaginable. Any guess on when it died? When's the worst time for Canvas for not to work? Finals, exactly. Oh, such a horrible disaster. Let's hope that doesn't happen. And for some reason, it was a nationwide death of Canvas for like that evening, which was, and we had an evening final. Not horrible. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But the point is that this particular webpage is a more direct link than going through ltcc.edu. So the other thing is I'm using Zoom, and I use Zoom for all of my webinars. I use Zoom for all of my office hours. And crossing my fingers, I have not been Zoom bombed ever. So hopefully it never will be, so I can just use the same thing. So I use this link. Okay, so this live lectures and office hours will send you to where we are now. Obviously, you know how to get there because you're here. But that's the link that you're on now. So to let you know. Okay, so then right now where it says archive lectures, don't go here yet because that won't be current. Why does it not link to current archive lectures? This should be obvious.
They haven't happened yet.
Exactly. We're in the middle of the first one. Obviously, I can't create a link to the collection of webinars if there's nothing there. So this is on YouTube. YouTube needs to have a webinar to have a playlist. They need to have a video to have a playlist. So what'll happen is when this webinar is over, then what I do is I wait until Canvas sends me, or Zoom sends me the MP4 file it's called. I take that MP4 file and I post that up into YouTube. I make a playlist, and then I'll have the archive lecture. Right now it links to last time I taught this in spring. I was on sabbatical last quarter, so last time I taught this class was in the spring. So it'll link to somewhat older. So, but it eventually it'll link to the right ones. Okay, and eventually means tonight. Okay, unless Canvas is really slow, and then it'll be tomorrow. Okay, so I will get to it, I promise. Okay, and again, please ask questions if you have them. Okay, as I mentioned, I have been teaching these for a long time. And I've made a lot of videos. And what I just did, and this is the one you really want to do as a second one, I should probably get rid of this full-length YouTube lectures. It should be with LibreText calculator. In progress isn't even true, it's done. So if I click on that, it goes to YouTube. And you will notice that there are 13 of them. Any guess on why there's 13 of these videos? It's not because it's an unlucky number. Yeah. Yep, there's 13 chapters in the book, and I made one per chapter. Okay. And by the way, someone asked if the webinars all have the same link, and the answer is yes, and so do my office hours. So it's always the same link, the one you're on. So obviously you have it because you're here. So the 13 chapters. So I have a lecture for each chapter, and these are new, by the way, or pretty a few months old, because I took the old ones and then I redid them with what's called a LibreText calculator, which I'll explain in a little bit. Okay, any questions on how to find it? It's just a click. Okay, so chapter 1 is sampling and data. Chapter 2 is one variable statistics with the LibreText calculator. And those are the two for this week. Okay, and they're not that hard, by the way. This is not the hardest week. That's the good news. Okay. You have kind of spend more time just figuring the class out, and the stats gets a little harder later. Okay, I've also done, the next link is called Lectures from Eve Class. And the idea on that one is that last year was a complete COVID disaster. If you don't know that, then I don't know where you've been. So our entire college was down. And what I did is I taught my regular non-online class online, and that had more hours. So those are more in depth. So with this class, because it's an online class, our webinars are just like an hour and a half or so. Okay, usually an hour, 15 minutes to an hour, 40 minutes is the kind of the length it typically is. Whereas when I did Eve classes, were much longer, so they're more in depth. So if you want to get kind of more in-depth lectures, then you can click on this one. And this goes to a playlist that I gave last year. Okay. And for my Eve class, and they're longer. So again, one of the things that I believe in is if I have materials, I might as well share them with you guys. What I'm not going to tell you is you have to watch every single possible thing. Okay. Instead, I'm going to say you should make sure that you learn the material in the best way that works for you, and find, based on all the things I've provided for you, find what works for you and use that for learning the material. Okay. And as always, ask questions if you want to find more stuff. So we're not even close to done with all the materials yet. Okay. Any questions so far? So that was last year's full length class where I gave 5 hours of lecture a week, basically. So very different
Question.
Uh-huh.
Is there a place where there's a list of all the webinars, like in one place with like the dates or?
So what I've done, I'll show you this since you're asking. I can go to it later, but I'll go to it now, is modules. And what I do the very first week of class, I let the syllabus be the default page that when you go onto Canvas, that's the first thing that you see. That's going to change next week, and it's going to go to this one. But the syllabus is kind of important for the first week because you're kind of figuring out where things are and what things are. But later, you're going to be going by weeks. So for example, let's say we're, I don't know, in the 6th week of class. Then if you click week 6, then it says webinar on chapter 8, Monday at 6 o'clock. Does that help you?
It does. I think the hardest part is that I have multiple classes that start on different weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no actual date of when chapter 8, Monday at 6.
It's
So
week 6. It's week 6. So we're in week 1.
Yeah. At
So
6. There's
add
just,
5 weeks means add 35 days from today.
okay, well, I'll
That's
fail
how you-
this class, but okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it is, I did it by weeks instead of by date because it's a kind of the structure, but that's how it is it's go by the weeks, and we're in week 1, and it's a 12-week class. Okay. So if you still can't figure that out, send me an email. I'll tell you, what dates the weeks are, what Monday of every week or something, but calendars will do that for you too. Just go to a calendar. January 3rd is Monday of week 1, and just count. Does that make sense? So you don't have to do the math to figure out. You just look at it. Week 6, I'm going to count 6 weeks down in my calendar, and that'll get you there. Okay. And if you click on that, there's not much there because all it does is give you the link. It just gives you the link to the webinar, which you already have, because there's nothing to show for the webinar other than it's week 6. Okay. And it's Monday at 6. The other thing I have done, since we're here and you asked, is the webinars are not always on the same day at the same time. And the reason I do that is if I always have them on the same day at the same time, there will be some people that are completely axed out of them because that might be the working hours or class or something. So I tend to rotate Mondays and Tuesdays on the webinars so that hopefully none of you will be in the situation where you can't attend any of them, because that would be a bummer. Okay, you can always watch them on YouTube, but it's better if you can go live. So that's something I've done so that hopefully everyone can at least make some of them. And some of you might be able to make all of them, and that's even better. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's go back. If you hit home right now, home will take you to the syllabus. Okay, later it'll take you to the module page I showed you.
I might have a problem. You said you do the modules on Mondays, right? Are those the only days?
No. I was just giving you an example that. Oh, you mean the webinars or the modules?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, the webinars.
The webinars. So what I do is I rotate typically, except this week, because this week starts on Wednesday. I rotate Monday and Tuesday. I want to do it.
Do you only do it in the evening? Because I do work Mondays and Tuesdays in the evening.
No, so I'm doing it in the evening this week, and I'm going to be mentioning that in a moment. But I'm busy tomorrow in the daytime, and I was teaching today in the daytime. So so this week I did both evenings. What I typically do is Tuesday I'll do lunchtime, and then Monday I'll do evening. So sorry if that neither of those work. And I can't fit everyone.
Okay, and so you have a webinar besides that, right? That we can log into. That's what you were saying.
What's that?
You have a webinar we can log in. Other than that, correct?
Well, what you can always do is watch on YouTube, and you could also come to office hours, any of my office hours. And if none of the office hours work, send me an email and I'll meet you at a different time.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you.
Yeah, but never after 10 p.m. because I don't teach while I sleep. So there's sometimes I won't.
Trust me, I'll be sleeping that time too. Don't.
Oh, good. Yeah. So there's sometimes that we can meet at 5 a.m. So anyway, let's see. Quick question about the webinars. If you cannot make them, you're required to submit any notes on the webinars we missed. Only requirement is to watch them by Sunday. Yeah. So what's gonna happen, and you're gonna know about this in a little bit, is that every webinar has what I call my secret word. And somewhere in the webinar, usually towards the end, but not the very end, I give out the secret word. It's very obvious to all of you. I write down secret word, and then I tell you what it is. And every week there's what's called a secret word quiz. So by Sunday, whether you watch it live or whether you watch it on YouTube, you have to do the secret word quiz, which is going to have one question. The one question is, what was the secret word? You type in the secret word and you've got it. Okay. You have to do it by the Sunday after the webinar. And if you don't, I punish you badly. Then you have to watch it and take detailed notes, at least 5 pages, and email them to me. So you need to do it by Sunday. Okay. So don't wait until Sunday evening, because then the internet could die or something. So I recommend getting it done by Saturday, and then bad things won't happen. Okay. Procrastination is always a bad idea. So that's just a note. Okay. All right. So let me continue on where I was. I also have short introductory videos for each week. Those are little like 3-minute videos to tell you what we're doing. Okay, kind of fun. And I do them at the college so that you can feel like you're part of LTCC, even if you're never there. You get to see it. I did them a long time ago. So if I look young, that's because I did them a long time ago. Then I also have, I probably should get rid of number 8. Really, it's number 9, and because that's what we're going to be doing in this class. And that is videos of worked out problems from using the LibreText calculator. So I want to let you know, in this class, you can use a TI-84, but I've created a different calculator that, based on what I've heard from other students in my class, they like it much better than a handheld TI-84. It's much easier to use. I designed it and created it directly for this class. So everything there is just what you need for this class and no more, and that's what you want. So that's what I call the LibreText calculator, because that's the platform I used. And there's videos for that calculator that have worked out problems. Okay. And by the way, all videos are on YouTube, but they're often embedded into the book. But really, they're embedded from YouTube. And I've learned that YouTube is just really reliable. I've never had YouTube go down Have you ever had YouTube go down on you? Like every other website works, but YouTube's down. I've never had that happen. So that's why I like using YouTube. Okay. And it also,
No, only when the internet goes down.
the internet goes down and it doesn't matter what I do for that. If the internet's down, you can't go online and do anything. So that's going to happen. And sorry, can't help that one. I also have some what I call optional interactive statistics. And those are kind of visualizations and games for learning statistics. Okay, I can even show you kind of what they are. So there's a lot of them, by the way, like 54 of them. It also includes a calculator, I believe, so in pieces. Okay, so some of these are games, some of these are just little visualizations. Some are calculators. So this is a box plot creation game. And it has you play and do things. Okay, so I'll let you play with them. Okay, and again, whatever works for you. Is a calculator only online or physical? Well, the calculator that I created is online. Calculator that I created is online. But this is an online class. So to expect you to be able to go online, I don't feel like I have to feel bad about that. This is not what I call a COVID class where it's supposed to be face-to-face, but we were forced to go online. This one really is an online class. In fact, between 11 and 12:45 this morning, or today, I taught my face-to-face stats class, and that's a face-to-face class. Very different. I was in front of a whiteboard, writing down stuff on the whiteboard and paper and all kinds of stuff. This is truly online. Okay, and so I treat it differently. So the calculator being online, I don't have to feel guilty about that because that's what this class is. Okay, and I think you'll agree it's easy to use. Is there a direct link to it? Yes, we'll get there. We'll get there. Syllabus is pretty long. Okay, the textbook. I want to let you know that my mission in life for the last several years has been to make sure that no student has to drop any class because they can't afford the book, can't afford the calculator, can't afford the homework system or anything else. Okay, that'll never be a problem. So I have made sure that we use only free stuff. So the book is completely free. You can hit print, then you got to pay for the paper that comes out of your printer, I guess, but you don't need to use paper. And this will send you to the book. And this book was originally written by Barbara Alowski and Susan Dean. Okay, and Barbara Alowski, she taught at De Anza College down in Silicon Valley, and a great person. We've worked together and stuff like that. But what I have done is I've enhanced it. So I've taken this book and I have customized it and made it fully interactive, fully multimedia. I've changed all the stuff with the TI calculator and put in the free statistics calculator that I created so that there's no cost to it. I've put in the embedded videos that are me. So it may feel as you read through that I wrote it, but I didn't write the book, but I put in all the extras. So for example, if we go to, I don't know, chapter 2, since that's part of this week. And we go to, how about measure the spread of the data. Then this is the book. Barbara wrote this stuff. Really nice woman. And then if we scroll some more, all of a sudden, there's a calculator. And there's a calculator I wrote, and I was able to embed the calculator right into the book. So that as you're reading the book, you can play with the calculator. And you can put in, I don't know, 3, comma 3, comma 5, comma 6. And then make it the sample standard deviation, click calculate, and it'll give you the standard deviation. Okay. Then there's a game. Play the guess the standard deviation game. And if you're one to play games, then this is a game. And of course, it's a game where you're using your statistics knowledge to win the game. Okay, so again, I'm not going to get into all the details, but I'm just letting you know. And then you're back to the regular textbook that you're reading. And then more stuff, more stuff. And then I've embedded a homework problem right in. You don't have to do this, is for practice. And this is what your homework assignments are going to look like. And this is a little homework problem embedded in. So it's an interactive, instead of just read an example, you actually get to try an example while you're reading. And they also have read an example, it's all there. And then more and more. And then I've embedded a calculator right into the book. I mean, sorry, calculator, a video. I embedded a video right in the book. Okay. And then more stuff. And there's the calculator again, another calculator. Okay. Or the piece of the calculator. So in the book now, it's not just reading, it's fully interactive. Does that make sense? Okay. And again, everyone has a different learning style. Whatever works for your learning style is what you should do. And that's just an example of a section. So it's more than just reading, you get to actually interact with it. Very different than a regular book. Now, if you print it, it's not going to interact with you at all because it's paper. But as long as you're online, then you get to interact. Okay, again, I'm trying to make it so whatever your learning style is, it will work for you. So I'm not going to read this whole section to you, but that's the idea. So that's the book. And I do recommend, you know, at least go through it, go through examples, and go through the content. Okay, watch the videos. There's course descriptions, student learning outcomes. I'll let you read through that. Basically, we're going to be learning how to analyze data. That's what statistics is all about. My grading policy, I grade on a 90, 80, 70, 60 scale. So I try to make it standard so that no one's confused. Okay. And I thought I'd fix this. Just a minute. Oh, this is going to get updated. Let me double check. Huh. Didn't get updated. Okay. So let me tell you what's going to happen with this. I don't know why this is happening. Sorry. I did this. Let's see. It has all that. Okay. So I'm going to be updating this. I apologize. But a weird thing happened. And that is this really nasty, horrible thing called COVID. You might have heard of it. Happened, which means we can't do proctored tests anymore. Okay. So what I'm doing, it doesn't show this. Oh yeah, it does say. Okay, there it is. So instead of what you're used to, which would be what I used to do is a midterm and a final, where both of those are really high stakes, all or nothing. You fail the final, you don't pass the class. Have you had classes like that? That's not this class, because I can't do a proctored test. So instead, every other week, you're going to do a little mini test. And they're not going to be proctored. They're going to be at home, or they're not going to be at home, where you happen to have internet. You got to have internet for it, because this is an online class. And you're going to be taking that every other week exam. And they are going to be cumulative. So the first exam will be the material for the first 2 weeks. The second exam will be the material for the first 4 weeks. The third exam will be the material for the first 6 weeks. But they're going to be weighted more heavily on the most recent 2 weeks. So the fifth exam will be the first 10 weeks, but it'll be weighted more heavily on week 9 and 10 than on week 1 through 8. Does that make sense to everyone? And in each exam, there's going to be computer graded problems. And there's going to be typically 2 questions that are written, typed out questions where I grade them. Okay, I've never done this before for what's called the MyOpenMath setting for exams. So hopefully I'm crossing my fingers that technology it all works. If not, we'll all be crying, but I think it's going to work because it says it's supposed to. And when I pretended I was a student, it worked. So you'll be doing that, and the written ones that I grade by my hand, those are more heavily weighted than the computer graded ones, because they're going to have you do writing. They're going to have you really write down what you know, instead of just a number answer or something like that, or a few numbers. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Okay, there are weekly assignments, and the weekly assignments basically are the same as the non-written part of the exams, except the assignments are not cumulative. The assignments are, they're just for that chapter. So question, how many questions per exam? Usually about 15 or 16. Okay, plus or minus 3. And I'm giving you 90 minutes per exam. Some of you will take less time, but here's what I did. One of the
I
neat
have a
things.
question on
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
If I have disabilities and I work with the DRC, does that
Mhm.
mean I can get a little more time on that?
Absolutely. I'm going to get that. I'll get to that in a bit when we get into the DRC paragraph. So I'll talk about all about that in a bit. So I promise you that will happen for you. Okay. So that will happen for sure. So for the assignments aren't worth that many points. It may look like, hey, it's only 80 points for an exam, but remember, there's 6 of them. 80 times 6 is 8 times 6 is 48, so 480. Okay, and this is out of 1,000. So that means 48% of the whole course are these 6 exams. Whereas the assignments, there's 13 of them, and they're total of 100 points. Divide that by 13, and they're only worth a few points each. Does that make sense? So the assignments are really for just kind of learning and practicing, and the exams are to see if you've got it. The assignments, you can do, if you get the problem wrong, then you can do the problem again. And if you get it right the second time, you get 100% on that problem. The exams are not like that. The exams you only get one shot at, because I try to make those like real exams. That's how exams are, right? Okay. Then, since this is an online class, the one way to interact with each other is what's called the discussion forums. Give me put in the chat box. Give me a yes if you've taken a truly online class, not a COVID-based online, but a truly online, and a no if this is the first one. Okay, so almost all of you are saying yes. So almost all truly online classes have discussion post assignments. Am I right about that? I should mention one of the things that I have done, I've done a lot, by the way, for the state, is I was a statewide online course evaluator to do statewide approval for courses. And if they didn't have discussions, then we didn't accept their course. So that's why, your course better have had discussions. Otherwise it wasn't okay. So we have discussions, and we'll get to those in a bit, and I'll show you what they look like. This week, there's 2 of them. Usually there's only 1. Because this week I have one just to get to know each other. It's just total fun. And then one that's learning statistics, which maybe will be fun too, but not total fun. So one's more math-based. So, and after this week, everyone is going to be math-based, statistics. Usually it's going to be either you find an article online that is relevant to what we're doing that week, and you post it, and then someone else analyzes it. Or some of them, you have to create a statistics question that's fun, that has meaning to you personally, and then someone else has to answer it. So typically they're that, okay? Except this week, there's one that's just total fun, as you'll see. We have 2 projects in this class, and there are a lot of points, by the way. They're important, and they are group projects. So recommend groups of 3. You can do 2, 3 is better, trust me. 1, there's less work to do if there's 3 of you, because you can split up the work and only have to do 1/3 of the project. But the other big reason is if someone drops the class, there's 3 of you, now you have 2, and at least you're still okay. If there's 2 and someone drops, now you're alone, and that's not allowed. So try to get in groups of 3, and I'll show you how to find partners in a bit. I'm not going to talk about all the details of the project today because we haven't had the statistics to understand the meaning of what I'm going to ask you to do. But we will have, I think next week, if I remember right, I'll go over project 1. And project 2, we're not even close to getting ready for. Okay, so exam policies. First thing for those exams, you're on your honor on this. There's no proctor. Because of COVID, I can't send you to a proctor center. For example, our public library doesn't do proctoring and our college no longer does proctoring. It drives me crazy. So there's no proctoring, but you're on your honor. But what I want you to do, and it'll help you anyway, is create a note sheet 8.5 by 11, because that'll make it go faster for you. If you think that you're going to be able to read the book every time you do a problem and find what you've got, find an example, try to learn it, you will run out of time. You will not have a chance of finishing this test, okay, of any of the tests. So instead, what you should do is you should have a page of notes where in that page, it's all organized, where you have written everything you need for the class so that you can find it. Okay, so it's not just an honor system. If you don't have, if you try and do it out of the book or something, it's going to go very poorly for you. Not to mention feeling guilty because you're cheating, but it won't go well because it takes too long to find stuff. Does that make sense? So that's what you want to do. And I recommend a page front and back. Okay, I can't tell you exactly what to put on the page because that's up to you. Whatever you need for your ability to get things done. Does that make sense? I do have a rule. And again, I have to do honor system. That's all we can do. And the funny thing is I'm looking in the video now and I can tell you why the rule is. And, you know, I know one person, you're allowed to do it. During the exam, you're not allowed to talk to anyone who is an adult. But if you happen to have a really cute kid right next to you on the couch that you're sitting on, that's just fine because you're a mom or an aunt or a dad or uncle, whatever it might be. And the kid's really important. You can't just ignore your kid for an hour and a half. So that I understand. But, you know, don't have conversations with, you know, a teenager or something like that. They can tell them to go in their room or whatever, because they don't want to talk to you anyway. Because by the way, if you have a little kid, just wait till they're teenagers. Everything changes. But you know, you're not supposed to talk to other people. You're not supposed to ask questions to other people. And I can usually tell when someone is getting help from someone, especially from someone that hasn't taken this class but knows statistics, because they're going to be using different techniques. And I'm pretty mean when it comes to points if I see wrong techniques from another class used, because obviously you're cheating. Okay, I'm pretty good. I've been teaching long enough that I can tell. So the idea is don't talk to other people. Okay. So here's the assignment policy. So again, there's assignments for every chapter. And when you go to those modules, you'll see when they are. They're always due on Sunday night, but don't wait until Sunday night to start them because disasters happen. That's when the internet dies, right? Strongly recommend that at least you get them going in a big way by Friday. And here's my rule, okay? If you get them going in a big way by Friday and realize it's just not going to happen for you, you're not going to finish by Sunday night, and you email me saying, you know, I got too much going on, I'm not going to be able to make it by Sunday, can I have an extra couple days? My answer will always be yes, if the email comes by Friday night. If you email me after Friday, it'll always be no. So I give you a reward for not being a procrastinator. Any questions on that? Because I want you to be working on this class during the week. Okay. And if you have a little left to do on the weekend, that's okay, but don't start.
I'm not sure if I have any questions right now, but I feel like I have some.
Yeah, if you have any, one of the things, by the way, of course, during the webinar is the easiest time to ask questions because you ask, I answer. But email always works too. And then I'll show you the discussion post works also. So it depends on the kind of question. I'll get to that in a little bit. Okay. Then there are the discussion assignments. And I kind of mentioned those already, and we'll see the examples for this week of those. The important thing is, except this week's different because we started on a Wednesday, which is kind of weird. Normal weeks, I officially going to start on a Monday, because whenever the webinar is basically. And then I'm going to want you to post by Thursday and your initial post. And then your final post needs to be done by Sunday. And that's the one thing that I don't accept late ones, because that's supposed to be communicating with each other. And after Sunday, the communication's over. Okay, so it's just different. So that's the one thing you don't want to be late on, is the discussions. This week I give you an extra couple days because we start on a Wednesday, and that's because it happens to do New Year's. College didn't want to start on Monday because people are too busy with New Year's. Okay. So that's just a note, and here's a little rubric on how I do it. So the live webinars, as I mentioned, they're going to happen. And there's always going to be a secret word given out at the webinar. And I'll do it. I haven't given it yet. It'll happen today. And it'll happen tomorrow too. Tomorrow there's another webinar, by the way. Tomorrow is a content webinar. Today is a orientation webinar. Today is all about the course. Tomorrow is statistics. We actually learn statistics. Just let you know that. This is the only week that we have 2 of them. Okay, but that's because I think the orientation is way too important to try and squeeze it all in an hour and a half and try and do everything at once. I just can't do it. So that's why I do both. Okay, so as I mentioned, I've already told you that you have to watch it by Sunday. And if you don't watch it by Sunday, then you're going to have to give me that 5-page paper. And when the college sends us a note to say, who should we drop? And the webinars are my way to know that you've actually attended. Okay, and again, you don't have to attend live, but you do the secret word quiz. The secret word quiz is proof that you attended. Does that make sense? So you don't want to be dropped. So at least, do the secret word quiz. You just have to watch it, And I'll tell you, the webinars are worth it. You could probably, zip through it and don't pay attention until the secret word happens. And, but that's not going to help you in this class. You're not going to succeed if you do that kind of stuff, just because you won't learn. Okay, so again, there are ways of cheating, and I try not to. Okay, so those are the webinars. And the projects I've mentioned already. We're going to have 2 projects. I want to let you know that the projects don't use the calculator that I built that I was talking about before. They use a different calculator that I built. I built both. Everything's free. And the calculator that I built for the projects are a spreadsheet-based calculator using Google Sheets, if you ever use that. And I created that many years ago, actually. And it's been used by probably 1 million people, maybe 500,000 people. And the reason why that's required and you're not allowed to use the other calculator has to do with, remember what I told you, the number one thing for me when I developed this class is, and you remember the first thing I said in this, like at the beginning of this webinar? Next class, that's important. That's not number 1, actually. It's even more important. I told you it'd all drop if this didn't happen. Remember? No. That this class transfers. Do you remember I said that? And if I don't make you use a spreadsheet, there are departments at University of Nevada, Reno that won't accept this class. Okay, and there's a couple other universities that won't accept this class if I don't use a spreadsheet. And this way, when I get the call, and I get the call a lot from the university that you might be transferring to, then I can say yes when they ask, do you require a spreadsheet? Because there are departments at universities that if you don't have a statistics class that requires a spreadsheet, then it doesn't count for transfer. And that sucks for y'all. Do you agree? So this was one of the things I did to ensure transfers. There's a few others, but this was one of the biggies. So if it feels like I'm being mean by making you use a different program, there's a reason. Okay, and it's for the transfer purpose for some of these universities, not all universities, but some of them. So I created a spreadsheet program. Okay, and by the way, as I mentioned about everything else, it's free. Okay, and it uses the Google program. I'm not going to get into the details of the project today, but I will let you know you're going to need partners, and this is a biggie. There's a 25% penalty if you can't work with another student, which means even if you get everything perfectly done, which is really hard, still can't get more than a mid C. So get partners. Do not do this alone.
Okay, so question, how does that work? So do we just pick our own partners? We contact each other through...
Okay, so I was going to wait, but let me show you. So let me show you since I know you're all thinking about it. So let me go back to modules. Oh, sorry, let me go to discussions.
Discussions.
So if you go to discussions, what I created is something called Project One Discussion Forum. You click on that.
Project One.
You hit reply. Okay, now I'm not going to reply because I don't need a partner because I don't have to do a project.
Why not?
I have to read yours. I don't do a project. And then you say, hey, I'm looking for some partners. You know, I'm, you know, I want to get this started early. By the way, if you're a procrastinator, let everyone know. Because the biggest awful thing is a procrastinator working with a non-procrastinator. They hate each other.
Yeah,
So make
that's
sure that
fine.
you have a similar schedule. Okay, those are the kind of things you want to make sure on. And then, or if someone else has already posted, then do a reply to them and say, great, I'd love to be your partner. Please contact me. Okay, and legally,
So a total of 3 is what you said?
3 is preferred.
Okay.
2 is allowed, but not recommended. And the reason I allow it is one thing is, last time I looked, we had 29 students in this class. So if I made 3 only, then 2 people are screwed because 29 is not a multiple of 3. Does that make sense? All right. Don't wait till the last minute to find a partner. When should you start looking for partners?
Now.
Now. Yeah. So maybe you'll post now saying, hey, I'm looking for someone. Don't wait. Okay.
So
So do we let you know right away, or how does that work? We just start working with them.
Yeah, it's up to you. Okay. The only thing you can let me know is that for some reason you can't find a partner, then let me know. And then I could be very, very enthusiastic about finding you a partner. Okay. But try this first. Try this first. And again, what usually happens is someone drops the class, then there's only 2, and then someone else emails me saying, hey, I'm looking for a partner, and for some reason I couldn't find one. Then I find the 2 that were together when someone else dropped the class, and I email them and say, can you accept this 3rd person? Does that make sense? But best is if you do this first. Okay. I don't want to tell you who you have to partner with. That's not my job, because I want you to partner who works for you. Okay. And it doesn't, by the way, you don't even have to be in the same city. You don't even have to be in the same country. I have had many years, actually. It doesn't look like as much this time. It looks like you're all from Tahoe. But I've had many years. I've had a year where I had 5 countries represented. And one reason for that, which makes me feel good, by the way, is military. Is that I get students in the military. And they're stationed, used to be Afghanistan. Thank God we're not there anymore. But I always had a student in Afghanistan. But they can work with you. You know what I mean? They don't need to be in your country. You never need to see them face to face. You can communicate via the Canvas, email, messaging or whatever, or you can give your own information. I can't force you to give your own information, but if you feel comfortable, then you can. I've never in my many, many, many years of teaching had anyone harass someone else afterwards because they had their email. Just let you know, that's never happened. I've had partners hate each other, but they didn't harass each other after the class was over. So I haven't had that. And they'd let me know, I'm sure, if that happened. So fortunately, that stuff doesn't happen. At least it's never happened yet. So hopefully you don't have to worry about that. But I can't force you. Does that make sense? Because of legal reasons. Okay, so anyhow, that's the discussion forum. And one thing, by the way, make sure that after you type in your stuff, don't forget to hit post reply. If you don't hit post reply, then it didn't happen. And then if you go to the discussion board again, you'll see your reply. If you don't see your reply, try it again. But that's just a note. And that's true of anything with discussions, by the way, is don't forget the post reply button. Okay, I'm not going to do that because I don't need to find a partner. You do. But I'll show you in a little bit how to use the discussion board for something else, because we'll get there. All right, so let me continue on. There is a Q&A forum. So what I did, then go back to the discussion board. And you see this Q&A forum? That's where you ask questions that are not project related. If you have a project related discussion question, like a project one discussion question, post it in the project one discussion board. Okay, I will answer that. So I do look at the discussion boards often, many times a day, and I'll answer that. If you have a non-project question, so it might be even a question on the homework, for example, or it might be some kind of question about, I don't know, do we have anything to do over the Martin Luther King's birthday holiday, for example? You post that there and I'll answer it. Does that make sense? If it's a personal question, okay, things like, I tested positive for COVID, I'm going to be out of it for 2 days, please help. You don't have to post on the Q&A form. That's what email is for. Okay, so if it's something that is more personal like that, send me an email. If it is something that other students are going to benefit from because it's content based, then please use the Q&A form or the project form if it's project based, project related. If you email me a question like, I was working on this problem, here it is, how do you answer this? Do you know what my email back is going to be? It's going to be, great question, post on the Q&A forum and I'll answer it. So I'll remind you that that's the kind of thing you post on the Q&A forum. Does that make sense? Okay, if it's something you hate your partner or something and you want to complain, that's an email. Please don't post that on the forums. Okay, hopefully you will like your partners, and most people do. Okay, so that's that. Let's continue on. Okay, and diversity inclusion, just let you know that I am going to treat you all like people. And you need to treat each other like people, to be nice to each other. I do not accept any racism. You can't, that's not okay in this class. Got it? So we need to accept each other as good people, no matter what their backgrounds are, no matter who they are. We're just working together as a group, trying to learn statistics, and we need to make sure that happens. So I'll let you read through this, but that's the main thing, is you need to be respectful of each other, regardless of where they might be coming from. Okay. There is an anonymous feedback link, and I have that in case you want to suggest something for the course, but for some reason feel embarrassed by saying who you are, then this will work. Most people don't use this because they realize that I'm not one. I would never, ever like take off points because you said, I really thought that test was, really hard to read or something. No, I'll look at that and I'll make sure that every time I teach the class from now on, I'll make it easy to read. Does that make sense? And I do want to let you know, I may be old, but I'm not that close to retirement yet. So if you have some suggestions to improve, even if it was like about project one and project one's over, please give the suggestions so that I can improve it, and you'll be helping another 500 students, because I'm going to be teaching for another 8 or 9 years or something, or 10 years before retirement. So this will help. And the good news is I have been teaching a long time, and I have gotten a lot of feedback from students. And when I get feedback, I make improvements. So the nice thing is you are benefited by all of those feedback suggestions that other students have made in the past. And because of that, the class is much easier to go through. The content's not any easier. That I can't do anything about, by the way. If you say statistics is too hard, can you make the class easier? I can't do that. But if you have feedback on a particular, instructional material or something like that, I can do that. Okay. Or timing of something, that's something I can help you with. Any questions on that? Okay. Netiquette guidelines, that's basically, again, just because you're online does not mean you're not people. So treat everyone with respect. Got it? That's the main thing about the guidelines. You can click that and it'll tell you all that stuff in more detail. But treat everyone with respect. We're all people, and I'm going to treat you with respect. Please treat each other with respect too. Office hours. Okay. So I have office hours, and these are the official hours: Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 2:45 to 3:45, and Tuesday, Thursday from 11 to 12. And I will be on Zoom during my office hours. If you happen to be in Tahoe, I'll also be in my office in A210 at the college. And I want to let you know, because it looks like you're all online. If you do go to the college to talk to me, you must wear a mask. I'm not wearing a mask. You know why? Right now? Should be obvious.
Because you're at home.
I'm at home and my cat is not going to get COVID from me. So I'm not wearing a mask, but when I have office hours, you might see me wear a mask. If I'm alone in my office, I won't wear a mask because I'm alone. But once anyone else is in the room, then I put the mask on. And when I teach face-to-face, I have the mask on. And if you come into my office, I'll put my mask on and you'll put your mask on. Okay. And that's probably for the whole quarter. That's my guess. COVID doesn't seem to be getting better, gone anytime soon. So I think masks are going to continue for the whole quarter. Hopefully we'll eventually get over this COVID thing and it's not going to kill anyone anymore, but we're not there yet. That's kind of sad. So just let you know about the office hours. Okay. Also, when you log into Zoom, if you do a Zoom office hour, say something, because I don't sit there staring at a blank computer for an hour during office hours. I think I go crazy if I did that, just at a blank Zoom screen. So say something so I know you're there. Does that make sense? Okay, get on your mic and say, hey, I'm here, I have a question. Okay, and then I'll know you're there and I'll answer your question. I also take turns. So if I have someone in my office physically and you log into Zoom and I'm helping someone else, I'll answer their question and then I'll answer your question. So you have to be patient too. Okay, because I do teach 4 classes. And this is the only online one. Any questions about office hours? And it's the same Zoom link. Okay, so the calculator. So you're asking, can I find that calculator? Here it is. So LibreText calculator, there it is. That takes you to the calculator. And for example, if we want to go to, I don't know, frequency table, you click on that. And then you put in the midpoint, you put in the frequency, the population or sample standard deviation. And you click on calculate and it gives you all the answers. So I tried to make it as easy as possible to use. If there's anything that is confusing about the calculator, what should you do?
Contact you?
Yeah, tell me. The good news is I'm the author of this calculator. You tell me it says it's confusing, I will make it less confusing, especially if you have a suggestion, I'd make it less confusing. I'll make it work. Okay. And the good news is this is, I think, the 3rd year I've used this calculator. I think the 1st year it was really confusing. But now I've gotten so many good suggestions that I don't get a lot of suggestions anymore because it's not confusing. And it's just easy to use. And if you have more suggestions, I'll make it even easier. So just let me know. Okay. So hopefully that will, help you out. So that's the calculator. Okay. And by the way, what I did also, I guess I should go back to it. Within the calculator, I also have a button for a scientific calculator. And if you click that, okay, this one I didn't make. This one's actually Desmos. And then I don't know if I do, 87 times 56. Hey, there it is, 4872. So there's a button that you can get to like regular old, what you're used to, like good old math arithmetic calculator. But the calculator that I produced, if I go back to the calculator menu, is specifically statistics only. It's to do statistics. Any questions on that? Okay. And it's being used by not just our class, it's being used all over the country now. So it's kind of a big hit. Okay, so that's the calculator. The Google Sheets calculator is right here. It helps if you're logged into your Google account first. Google accounts are free. To use it, the very first thing you have to do is you have to go to File. You have to go to Make a Copy, give it a name, and hit OK. Got it? If you don't do that, you won't be able to use it. And then you have it on your Google. Otherwise, everyone's going to be changing things at once, and it would be a complete mess if I let everyone edit it, because it would be group editing, and that doesn't work. So this is the Google Sheets. And again, also, I got everything that we do in our classes in this calculator, basically. Okay, so that's the calculators. Learning disability. So if you have a learning disability, I will make sure that whatever accommodation that is needed for your learning disability will happen. What you need to do, though, is you need to contact the Disability Resource Center, and I have their email, their phone, and their web page. You could also go there personally, but there's an online class, so you don't ever, again, you never have to leave your room. So I usually like to say, how do you do this online? And this will work, online, okay, or on phone, however, whatever works for you. And they will work with you. They'll find out what accommodations are needed. Then they communicate with me after you've worked with them, and they let me know the accommodations, and then I'll make it happen. Got it? And I'd say more than 90% of the accommodations are extra time. Occasionally I'll have a blind student, and then there's some accommodations with visual stuff. But most of the time it's extra time, and I can make that happen. But if I don't know, so if you don't go to the Disability Resource Center and fill out the form or whatever, or not go, but sorry, email them, okay, or contact them, then I won't know it, so I won't know to give you extra time. And you can't just say, hey, give me extra time. You actually have to do it through them legally. Otherwise, there's all kinds of lawsuits that could happen to me. So I have to hear from them. Does that answer the question about Disability Resource Center? Okay. And don't wait till like 5 minutes before an exam or something, do it a few days before so that they can do the processing. So good. And it's important. It's important. And again, by the way, disabilities are completely private. I will not mention it ever on a Zoom lecture or anything like that, or to anyone else. Totally personal. Okay. So can you use the same project partners for project 1 and 2? The answer is yes, but you don't have to. So if you get along and you work really well together for the 3 of you, and you all stay in the class, then I strongly recommend using the same partners. If you ended up not getting along, then don't go to the same partners. Does that make sense? Or if one of you drop, then there's a project 2 discussion board, which I don't have on the main link yet because it's too early, but that'll come up after project 1's over. I'll move the project 2 up. And then you post on the project 2 discussion board saying, hey, I'm looking for a partner. Okay. Or you could also put it in the chat box on the project 2 time. Okay. One of our project partners dropped the class. Anyone can join us. That would be wonderful. That kind of thing. Okay. Good question though. Okay. Tutoring. So first thing, tutoring is there's 2 ways. This is an online class, so most of you will probably want online tutoring. And there is online tutoring, and that is what's called the Cranium Cafe. I have a link to it. but especially we have a special tutor, and his name is Braulio. And Braulio, unmute yourself and talk.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Braulio. I'm the embedded tutor for Larry's stats class this quarter. I'll be attending lecture along with you, but I'll also have my own office hours over in Cranium Cafe. I think I already posted something in discussions. I hope that's open for you to. I think it's open for you to see. Well,
should
all
be.
my hours are displayed there.
Yeah, if you post it, it's open for everyone.
Okay, there's also a link on there that you can go to. It's like all the services that the school offers, but
Which
I'll be
library?
under library. What was that?
Is that different than the Cranium Cafe link?
No. It's the exact same Cranium Cafe link. You got so you have several ways of getting there. But yeah, I initially took stats at LTCC with Win, and I've been an embedded tutor for Larry's stats class for a couple years now. So I kind of have like I'm rather familiar with like how the class goes and like the subjects. Um, if my hours don't work for you, just feel free to shoot me an email and then we can work something out. Maybe it's mostly in the afternoon, but maybe I can make some time in the mornings. At the moment, I'm available for 21 hours total. But yeah, more hours are likely to come up in the future.
Great.
But,
And Braulio's wonderful, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's really good. And again, he's very familiar with this class. Just the content.
And
but the
also
teaching.
I'm usually a first come first serve basis, but if you'd feel more comfortable, you can always set up an appointment with me so you can like guarantee a spot. But yeah, looking forward to working with you.
Great, thanks. So again, Braulio will be with us the whole quarter, and online. It's all online. Okay, there is a little tutoring on campus if you want to go to campus and get some tutoring, but there's an online class, so I usually like to publicize all the online stuff. I think I forgot to mention something. I don't think I talked to you about tomorrow's office hour, did I? Did I mention that? Okay, so I want to mention something and I want to apologize because I showed you my office hours. Tomorrow, I will not be in my office hour. Okay, and that might be the only time in the entire quarter I'm not in my office hour, because in terms of work that actually takes precedent over office hours, this is like the only one. Any guess on what I'm doing tomorrow? Consulting, no, consulting does not take precedent over office hours, by the way. I would tell them, hey, you can do it after my office hours. Teaching class, no, I would never have office hours while I'm teaching a class. Okay, no, I got my boost during break time. So yeah, I am triple vaccinated, by the way, so you don't have to worry too much about me if you come to my office. Okay, and I do wear a mask when you come in, so, but I'm triple vaccinated, so it's safe. All right, let me tell you, I am on an interview committee, and we are interviewing to hire a full-time person at the college. And if we don't hire good people, then our college sucks. So there aren't too many things that take precedent over office hours, but that's one of them, is that I can't, I have to do that. And I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm a total computer nerd. And this is a computer nerd job. So I'm the person they wanted to be on the interview committee because I actually could speak their language. I'm a serious programmer and it's a programming job. So just let you know. So I apologize. Just tomorrow is the day I will not have office hours. But every other day this quarter should have office hours. The only thing that could get in the way is, and since it's winter time and it looks like a lot of you are in Tahoe, why might you go online and not see me? Yeah, power outage. And especially lately, boy, we had a lot of them last month. So if that happens, I apologize, but I can't do anything about power outages. So we'll see what happens. Okay. If I have power, I will be there.
I
Okay,
feel
except
like we
tomorrow.
also struggle when there's too many people in town and we don't get enough internet access.
Yeah, but you know, I'll tell you, in COVID last year, because I was online all the time, I had 5 minutes total over the entire academic year last year, where
I've
you
struggled a
know,
lot already this year, and I don't know if it's just my service or what's going on, but I do feel like I've struggled a little bit.
this year I think it's the weather actually. I think it's that all those big storms in December, because that's when it all died. So anyway, I apologize in advance if the power is out, but hopefully you understand I can't do anything about that. So if the power's not out, other than tomorrow, I will be in my office hours. Okay. But don't forget to say, something to tell me you're there. Okay, I have some links in case you're stuck on Canvas. If you don't like Canvas, I don't know if you know, but every community college in California uses Canvas. And that was decided statewide. Do you know who you should be mad at?
Jason?
I missed that. Actually, you should be mad at me. I was on the statewide committee to choose Canvas. But if you hate Canvas, it's partly my fault. There were 50 of us, but I was one of the voting members, and we loved it too. There were like 4 or 5 different contenders, and Canvas was like so much better than the rest of them. And so we chose Canvas because it's so easy to use. So let you know, I've been using Canvas. I was the first to use Canvas here because I like to be the first in technology. Okay, word on honesty. The main thing is don't cheat. Okay, the bad things will happen. I'll let you read through it. Any questions about syllabus? Okay, that's most of what I'm going to talk about, but I do want to go to the modules. And I want to show you the modules. Modules are very important. That's where the course is all about. The syllabus is kind of what the course is about. The modules of the course. So the first thing is, let me drop that one, is there's course information. This is links to all the stuff that we just talked about. Okay, it has all the stuff we looked at. Just another way of finding the same stuff. If we go to week 1, that's what we're in right now. This is the first week of class. Then you will see a bunch of things. Okay, the first thing I have is, you click there. That gives you that little short video. Okay, a little bit old, but that's okay. And if you click on it, it's 3 minutes. I'm not going to torture you right now with it, but if you want to watch a little 3-minute introduction on the week, that's a 3-minute introduction of the week. Short thing. Okay, you can use the next button. The problem with the Zoom and Canvas, next is too hard to use. I can't see it with all the Zoom windows around, but it's in there somewhere. Okay, but instead I'm just going to go back. And the next link is where we are now. And right now, all it is gives us a link to get onto the webinar, and it tells you when it is. The next thing is tomorrow's webinar. Okay, which is the same link, by the way, but it gives you the information. So tomorrow, by the way, it's going to be 6 p.m. also. I found that's a good time for a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people can make 6. But you'll notice in a couple of weeks, we're going to have I think it's like a 12 o'clock or a 1 o'clock webinar. Okay, not midnight, by the way, like noon or 1 p.m. And that gives you information. Once they're recorded and put on YouTube, I embed them into them. So if you missed a webinar, then the next day you can watch it by clicking on it and it'll have it. Okay, right now, of course, it doesn't because I haven't given it yet. But that'll change, So the orientation webinar will be on this link either tonight or tomorrow morning, depending on how long it takes the processing to happen. Any questions on that? Then comes the content. So I have the student learning outcomes. Then I have links to the book. More links, links to the full-length videos, and links to the short videos for the week. links to the PowerPoints that go with the videos, and then the assignments. So this is the orientation secret word quiz. Okay, this is not what you're going to see. I'm an instructor, so it looks different for you than it does for me. So let me go to, I think I have to go to preview. Where is it? Is it letting me? It's probably somewhere behind my Zoom stuff. Huh. You won't see this. Canvas changed, I guess. Let's try that. Preview, there it is. Just had to find the right button. Okay, this is what it's going to look like. And it's going to say, what was the secret word for the week 1 webinar? So the secret word for the week 1 webinar not the week 1 webinar, the orientation webinar. Okay. So this is week 1, but the orientation webinar is help. Got it? Write that down on a piece of paper so you have it. This is the secret word. I'm telling you, this is not an example. This is it. So I always give the secret word in every webinar. And if I forget, please remind me. But this week's secret, the orientation secret word is help. Got it? H-E-L-P. Okay, so now I'm going to clear it. And it's gone. Okay, so you'll notice usually there's a minute or so where I'll go over the secret word, and we just did that. Okay, so let's go back. And again, we're in assignments. There's a week 1 secret word quiz that's different than the orientation secret word quiz. Because the week 1 secret word quiz will the word will be given tomorrow. Okay. And then there are 2 discussion post requirements. So I'm going to do this one so you can see what it looks like. I always do an example so that you know what they're supposed to look like. Oh, some of you, look at that. Some of you already done it. I like to be first, but I don't get to be first this time, but I like to do mine also. So, let me show you the instructions first. It says, please introduce yourself by stating 2 truthful facts about yourself and 1 thing that's not truthful. You will see if other students can guess what are truthful and what's not truthful. Then respond to at least one of the students' list to see if you could figure out which are truthful and which are not truthful. Finally, after someone has responded to your list, comment on whether that student was correct, and then write about how you plan on using statistics in your future coursework or career. Okay, please post a link by Thursday or earlier so students have enough time to respond. Okay, with this one, I'll be flexible. I'll probably give you an extra day because we're starting on a Wednesday. Okay, so if you hit the reply, and then you just start type. Here are my quotes, truths. 1. Now I got to come up with some fun ones. Okay, how about there are no other full-time faculty, teaching faculty, who have taught, right, current, who have taught as long or longer than I have at LTCC. Okay, that might be true. That might not be true. Number two. Number two is my YouTube channel has had almost 1 million views. Can I do a paper on the time of the webinar I missed, though I may have to leave shortly? Okay. If you have to leave shortly, it's fine. I already gave you the secret word. You can't go off on that. You're good. Okay, just let you know that. It's better to stay, but if you can't, you don't have any problems with the secret word. Okay, and number three. How about, let's see. I personally consulted for Star Trek. $1K. And some of the episodes have my physics language that I shared with them. Okay, so 2 of these are true, 1 is not true, and you have to figure it out. And then I post my reply, and that's it. Okay, and I want to let you know for this particular one, just this one. Okay, and actually there's one more later on. For this one, it's better if you actually guess on a bunch of people's. One thing that makes other people happier, it's easy to guess, right? And the other is if you see that someone hasn't had theirs answered yet, guess theirs, because it's better, because then they can do the final reply and say which is correct. Okay, so for this particular, and just this one, you should answer a bunch of them, and they're quick and easy. Do you agree this is just fun? Hopefully you see that. Okay, let me show you the next one. Okay, and by the way, to hit reply, you just hit this little reply button. Type it out and don't forget to hit the post reply, which I'm not going to, but you'll be doing that. Okay, let me go back to the modules. And there is also a week 1 survey design. So this is the only week where there's 2 of them, because there's one fun and one content. So this one, you're not really ready to do this one yet. You'll be ready after tomorrow's webinar, or maybe after you read the chapters 1 and 2 or whatever. For this discussion, please first find an article online or course video that discusses a study that was done that uses one of the sampling techniques that we have discussed in this class, okay, which I'll be discussing tomorrow. You'll want to search online for a journal article, news article, or course video. One resource for videos is here. That was my sabbatical, not the one I had last quarter, but 6 years ago. Is I found a bunch of videos, like hundreds and hundreds of videos. Then post a link to the article and the instructions on where to find the pertinent information. Then find a link from another student's post that has not already been analyzed by one of your classmates, and reply to that student's post by discussing the sampling technique that was done in the study. Comment on whether the technique produced a representative sample. Identify any biases that may have occurred and describe how the data collection could have improved in order to avoid these biases. Okay. So that's what it is. And this one I've already done, because this one took me some time. Whereas my truths and untruths, I can do that quick. So what I did is it says, here's an article that looks at how COVID has changed Americans' desires to live in the city, the suburbs, or rural areas. And here's the link. You can also find the survey technique by clicking on American Trends panel link. I want to mention something because this isn't obvious with Canvas, is that if you're typing in, and so let me just show you, if I hit, I'm going to reply to my own, for example. And here's a link. And let's say I'm just gonna copy and paste a link in here. How about this guy just for fun? Copy it. I'm gonna paste it. And then if you hit post, the link doesn't show as a link. So it's really easy, but you just have to force yourself to do it. Hit the space bar and it makes it a link. Got it? So after doing the paste into your post, hit a space bar and then you'll see it link. And then after that, you can do the post reply. I'm gonna hit cancel because this was just an example. Any questions on that little piece of Canvas? Okay. And I wanna let you know that I will be looking at these. And if you do it, I'm gonna say within 2 days, then and it doesn't work, then I will hit a reply and let you know that this one doesn't work. And I'll say, here's how you need to modify it, or this link doesn't work. You need to find something else, something like that. And then at that point, hopefully you'll know to fix it. Does that make sense? And that way you won't lose points. If you wait till the last minute, if you wait till the day it's due, this week's a little different, but normally it's due on Thursday. If you do it by Wednesday, I'll look. On Thursday, I'll just take off points if it's not good. Got that? Okay, so I always go back and look to make sure that I didn't say, hey, this one doesn't work. Any questions on how these posts work? Any questions? Okay, and you don't have to use Pew Research, by the way. Use whatever you have that has what's needed. Okay, what fits with the instructions. Any questions on that? Okay, so then let's go back to the modules. Then we have the chapter assignments. So if I click on chapter 1, sampling and data, and I'm going to start, and it says, in a study, the data you collect is your height in centimeters. What type of data is this? So let's suppose you thought it was qualitative categorical, and you hit submit question. Look at that. My score was 0 out of 1. Okay, that sucks. Should I just say, well, that sucks, I'm going to move on? What should I do? Any thoughts? So what should I do so I can make this good? Try again. Yeah, try again. But what first thing?
Try the question.
Yeah, try again. But actually, even better, the first thing you should do is click this little key. It'll give you the answer, so you know where you screwed up. It was actually quantitative continuous. Then kind of figure out why. And if you're totally confused, you can post in the Q&A forum. I'll help you out. But you can get a similar question and then try again. And then identify the type of data that would be used. Now it's amount of body fat. Okay, so let's say I say quantitative continuous. I hit submit question, and that was the right answer. Notice now I got 100% on that problem. So my recommendation is keep trying until you get it right. But don't try blindly. Make sure you understand why it's right. Otherwise, because you don't get to try again on the exams, only on these assignments. Okay, so that is actually the last bit of the module. And that is pretty much all I have to say for the orientation. What I will always do in webinars is I will stay on until you guys don't have any questions anymore. But I'm going to stop my share. So hopefully you all wrote down the secret word a while back. That way I can see you. I'm going to stop the recording too.